Welcome to the Healthy Heart Show, where we pull back the curtain on conventional medicine and dive into the root causes of cardiovascular health. If you are concerned about high cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart attacks, stroke, or atrial fibrillation, this is the place for you. We will provide natural heart information that will help you prevent, treat, and reverse any ailment, leaving pills and procedures out of the picture. Here are your guides to holistic heart health, board-certified cardiologist and Amazon best-selling author, Dr. Jack Wolfson, and natural heart doctor, naturopathic physician, Dr. Lauren Lattanza. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Healthy Heart Show. I am your host today, Dr. Lauren Lattanza. I'm the naturopathic physician here at Natural Heart Doctor, your home for the 100-year heart. We are so excited to bring you another excellent guest today on our show. We're always looking for different perspectives to bring you all kinds of ways to bring you optimal wellness, getting you to your 100-year heart. Today, we bring you Connie Zack. Connie is the co-owner and chief sales officer of Sunlighten Saunas, the global leader in infrared light therapy and infrared sauna manufacturing. After seeing how spending time in an infrared sauna transformed her brother's traumatic health issues, Connie and her husband committed everything that they had to helping others through the benefits of nature's healing infrared light. They've now spent nearly 20 years bringing light, hope, and happiness to people around the world. They have locations in 13 countries, a massive headquarters in the UK, as well as the US. They have an award-winning day spa with its headquarters in Kansas City. They've received recognition through the Oprah Winfrey Show. So just huge recognition all around the world for 2 decades. Sunlighten delivers its promise to help people feel better so that they can do more of what they love and live fully through a caring approach that drives innovation, investment, and relationships. Thank you so much for being here today, Connie. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
So if you would, tell us a little bit more of the background of the Sunlighten story.
Yeah, so it started a long time ago now. It's amazing. It's how fast time passes, right? Like it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it was over 20 years ago. My brother was chronically ill and he searched and searched to try and find a solution. And there was nothing that helped him until his dentist realized that maybe he had mercury poisoning and that maybe the mercury was leaking from his fillings in his mouth, and that was causing him to be fatigued and have vertigo and have fibromyalgia and all this horrible conditions at such a young age. So his dentist said, I've read some articles, from Asia about a technology called infrared, and the way it enters your body, there's opportunity to detox the body, and potentially that you could get rid of this mercury. And so my brother first started with an infrared blanket that provided just a tad bit of difference. And then eventually he realized he really needed to sweat versus just, having a little bit of infrared. And so he, started using an infrared sauna, and it changed his life. And I was in St. Louis at the time when he was also in St. Louis. And I literally saw with my own eyes him transform from being not able to get out of bed and not doing anything to being able to go for walks and then eventually runs and being, healthy, thriving individual. And at the time I was working for Procter & Gamble in the pharmaceutical side of the business. And I only mentioned that because I was extremely passionate about making a difference and leaving this world a healthier place as a result of my work and my contributions to society. And I really did, of course, I felt like I was doing that through, working in the pharmaceuticals and helping. But when I saw this natural way that he did it safely without side effects, it changed his life. I thought, oh my goodness, maybe this is supposed to be my path where I can really bring a technology forth to people and help people change their lives. And so I left my safe job, still scary to talk about, and, jumped off a cliff without a parachute. And at the time, the wonderful man that I was dating did the same thing. He was working at P&G with me. He's now my husband. And, we have a beautiful family and business together and doing what we love to do, which is, making a difference. And, having people be healthier and be able to do more of, what they love to do with people they love to do it with.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, I can only imagine watching from your own brother who is essentially disabled and fortunately had a dentist that had the wherewithal to be like, you know what, this is basically killing you. We have to get this out. And it coming from a dentist himself, that they were, maybe somebody in their office was still actually using mercury, or so we have to kind of just mitigate the risks. And fortunately enough for him, he found somebody that was able to highlight that and say, we can do better, and get to point it in the right direction. And it's about looking in the literature, right? So it wasn't mainstream medicine. It wasn't something he learned in dental school.
Right.
But I'm looking at this Japanese literature that's saying, hey, let's at least try this.
Right. I know, it's amazing. It's so incredibly progressive, right? I mean, this was in the 90s.
Yeah.
So you think about, I remember having the conversations with people. People didn't even really, a lot of people, they knew conceptually what saunaing was, and they knew it was like a Finnish tradition, but I mean, nobody had heard of infrared, and the concept of sweating something out of your body was just so foreign. So I still just applaud, that doctor and the way he cared for my brother and, brought this technology that has been widely used over in different countries, but not available really, heard of in the United States at that time.
So could you elaborate for us? So what is infrared?
So infrared is, been around forever. I mean, it comes from the sun. So if you look at the sun's spectrum, there's a lot of spectrum of light, and there's one category that is called infrared. And there's 3 different parts of infrared that come from the sun: far, near, and mid infrared, which we can talk about later. But the general category infrared is the healing part of the healing light of the sun without the ultraviolet, without any harmful rays. It's what's used when you walk outside and you feel that just warm infrared, that black called infrared. It's like a warm blanket that you feel from the sun, where you just like, oh, yeah. That's infrared. That's that healing energy that you're getting into your body without the harmful rays. And it's really, the best analogy is it's like photosynthesis to plants. It's something that is needed, in order to grow and to thrive. And it's also the same light heat source that is used in hospitals when a baby is born. And they're put, on the like little like area, and then the lights, that infrared is used because it's safe. Mm-hmm. And it provides, again, that like just warmth, kind of that womb, feeling.
So then in the saunas, is the infrared kind of more of a heightened, or is it the same kind of amplitude of that from the sun?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we first started, Sunlighten, we didn't know what we didn't know, right? And so the only really extensive research that was available was about far infrared. And so when we started, we did all of our research on how can we deliver the highest amount, the highest quantity of far infrared into the body, because it took my brother a long time to heal himself. And so my thought process was, coming from pharmaceuticals, there has to be a better way. There has to be a more efficient way. Right. Like let's figure this thing out, because it shouldn't take that long. I mean, the end story is phenomenal, but is there a way to scientifically like make this better and then educate people and, get it out? So for most of our years, well, actually for half of our years, we focused on far infrared, which is the one part from the sun. And then 10 years ago, ish, we started doing research on the other 2 parts of the spectrum, mid infrared and near infrared, and then brought those to market as well. So now we bring, to answer your question, now we can say Sunlighten, and we're one of the only companies that can bring the entire infrared spectrum to people, and they can experience and enjoy each wavelength, and each wavelength works with the body differently and provides the body different benefits.
Amazing. So is that in terms of, does it maybe about like the depth that it goes into the body, depending on the far, mid, or near?
Yes, without getting too like scientific, each wavelength penetrates the body differently in different levels. And so as a result, it's affecting the cells in a different way, right? So near is the shortest, so it doesn't go very deep. Mid goes a little bit deeper into the joints and tissues, and then far goes the deepest. So that's the wavelength we studied as far as increasing your core temperature and helping to detoxify and pull out all the bad stuff that's in your body, remove that. So each one delivers, there's benefits, and all are good.
Right.
So people ask me that all the time, like, if I can only do one, it just depends on what you're looking for. Each one has benefits to the body in different ways, all of them fantastic. If you can have the opportunity to do all three, great. But some people, that's, it can be expensive, and some people, that I understand, they don't have access to that. Yeah. So one is good, two is better, three is great.
Yeah. Get them all. Why choose? People like options.
Yeah.
So what makes the Sunlighten products different than other models of saunas, just kind of available on the market?
Yeah. So lots of different things. So one, while we're talking about the 3 wavelengths, that's one of the unique aspects of Sunlighten is that when we brought it to market over 10 years ago, we patented being able to deliver 2 or more wavelengths into a sauna. So we have the patent on 2 or more. So we have the only product on the market that delivers 3, the entire infrared spectrum separately and independently. So that's, one of the factors. The other, we have a patent, while we're talking about patents, is we can deliver the highest concentration. So back to when we started, we wanted to be, effective and efficient. Mm-hmm. We deliver the most amount of infrared into the body on the market. So that every minute you're in there, you're spending the highest quality of your time because you're getting the highest quantity of product.
Right.
And that's really important to me. I'm a big time girl. I'm just very intentional about how I spend my time. And if I'm going to be in there, I want it to be very effective. Right. And so that's something that's very unique. We have really filtered out all of the, what I call convectional heat, so that the concentration is just the healing. So that's different than other products. So a lot of products that you look at, like infrared saunas on the market, they do have infrared because any heater has infrared. But any heater is not going to, help your heart and detoxify and help your skin and all that. So what makes the difference, which is the Sunlighten difference, is the concentration. It's the highest quantity that's available, so that you're filtering out the non-healing rays and you're just really focusing on the therapeutic and healing rays. So those are a couple. There's other issues, like as far as construction, high quality, safe, lowest EMF, we have an amazing quality control process where we really test every single piece.
Right. I was going to say, if you could talk about some of the materials used, so that, we're not trying to detoxify our bodies and then accumulating some other form of environmental toxin that's maybe part of the manufacturing process.
Yeah. And we learned that through hard knocks. We learned, because again, I didn't go to school to own an infrared sauna company. So I had no idea. We found out through our customers, if we would be making a product and then they would call us like, God, I have itchy eyes. I'm like, oh, why do you have itchy eyes? And so we learned over time that, each bit that goes inside, the building process, every material makes a difference, mm-hmm. especially when you enter in the heat, right? You enter in heating a material. And so everything we do, the adhesives, the oils, the wood, the wires, everything we do is designed to be safe, non-toxic, and healthy. And we started that at the very, very beginning. And we're always making sure that we are providing the safest and healthiest product on the market. So it's really important to us. And it comes, really from the fact that we did this because of my brother. And so why would we want, it's a mission, it's a passion of, of love, of, it wasn't something like, oh, wow, I see this craze on infrared saunas. Let's get on board. There was no such thing.
Well, what started out as a passion project has evolved into now over 20 years of trial and error into a truly optimal product. So I think that's speaks volumes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
So talk to me about, I love that you guys mentioned the idea of this passive cardio. So being that we are Natural Heart Doctor, the Healthy Heart Show, we often refer patients to saunas, frequently Sunlighten, which is why we have you here today, but about the numerous cardiovascular benefits. So the idea of passive cardio, if you could elaborate on that for us.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite benefits. And it's probably one of the first benefit that I found myself when I first started using our infrared sauna. And now, as I've studied it and validated everything that I knew just intuitively, to me, it's extremely fascinating. I could talk about it forever, but essentially, passive cardiovascular conditioning is a result of, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. We can talk about that as far as the length of time, but when you're inside, Sunlighten Sauna, it is similar to an exercise mimetic. So it's mimicking what you would be doing, if you were active cardiovascular conditioning, if you were exercising, if you were going for a run, you're getting very same experience, but you get to do it while you're sitting inside the sauna and you're not doing anything. So it's like this great little secret. It's like I'm working out, but you're not actively working out, which is great for so many people. I mean, it's great for muscle recovery. It's good for people that physically can't work out for whatever reason. And it's really hard to convince somebody who can't work out to work out. Like, it's just really because it's either painful or they don't have the energy, or like my brother, there's no way you could have told my brother to exercise when he was sick. I mean, no way, because he felt horrible. But now that we have, Sunlighten technology, you can go in there and you can get those benefits for your heart. You can get the increased core temperature. You can increase your heart rate. You can get the blood flow and the oxygen, all the things that you feel when you exercise, but you're sitting there, inside your Sunlighten sauna. Yeah. The other thing that my I don't know, this newest favorite thing, I've been doing it for a long time, but it feels like it's newest favorite thing is the stacking. So, going inside and either sweat stacking or, just doing other things that you love to do that feel good for your body while you're in there. That's the other great thing about it is, like if you're running, you can run and you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to your show, you can do things, but you're limited, right? But when you're inside your Sunlighten sauna, you can sit there and you can meditate. You can talk to friends. You can journal. You can stretch. I just I was just on spring break, and that was one of the things I really focused on. I'm like, okay, like I can always do better stretching. I'm just really going to get into it's when you get into a good habit when you're away, it's easy to bring it back and keep doing it because it feels so good, And so that's a great thing to do because your muscles feel, loose anyway. And so it's a great time to, get into some good stretches, do yoga. So lots of benefits to being inside there and lots of specifically passive cardiovascular, benefits.
I love that. And I love the idea of stacking. So it's like, okay, I'm already doing this that I know that's good for me for, one aspect of, and it's multiple benefits, it's not just for cardiovascular. There's multiple benefits from just sitting in the sauna as it is. Add the infrared, add some meditation or some breath work. I mean, and you're just setting yourself up for total success, I would think.
Yeah. Breath work. That's another one I forgot. That's something I'm always working on is that just really deep belly, breathing. And it's such a great place to do it, and you can feel your heart, just increasing. And, I always try and visualize what I want to accomplish. Right. So I just visualize that blood flow and, everything being opened and getting more oxygen to my brain. And I feel like we just we're filling our brains with so much stuff. It's really great to get a kind of just clear and so that, you can think more clearly. So yeah, it's a wonderful experience if you haven't, I know you have, but I mean, for people who are listening, if they haven't tried check out, someplace in your community, if you can't get one yourself, and because it really is, it can be transformative.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and like you said, you sweat it out. And even, your brother, how you mentioned it took him time. It's something that we have to continually work on, because even if you've not been diagnosed with, or maybe you're not diagnosed and you just have this chronic pain or chronic fatigue or some cardiac issue, or maybe that you've been exposed to mold or any of the number of things that sauna can help to, alleviate. Even if you're not there, that you can work your way into something that's beneficial for you every single day. So I'd say just kind of starting somewhere. And, we talk about it from a cardiovascular standpoint being, beneficial for the endothelium. So we talk a lot about, with patients with high blood pressure or with AFib or plaque accumulation, you're really considering the inside lining of your blood vessels. And with this passive cardio, you're considering the opening, the dilation of the blood vessels, bringing down the blood pressure, helping to, put yourself in this calming mindset. So it's just incredibly beneficial for so many body, functions.
Yeah, exactly. And something that I should mention when you talk about, science and heart and being healthy is in 2005. So a long time ago, we, at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, UMKC, did a double-blind, placebo-controlled randomized trial with our product and another, infrared sauna that looked exactly the same. And as a result of that trial, we found that we statistically significantly lowered blood pressure. So,
Wow.
you have, significant peace of mind, that again, you are doing something to help your heart. There's nothing more important than a healthy heart. And, and it was only 30 minutes at the time. And the sauna that we used was our lie down model, because that was the one we could mimic the easiest as far as the trial. And it didn't even have the pad underneath. So it only had 5 heaters. So it was like just a beta version, of what we have today. So, I just can only imagine how, efficient our time is today with all the improvements and advancements we've made since 2005.
Well, that's huge. Like whenever we recommend supplements or something like that, it's really hard to have the gold standard of a study done on your product. Like we can recommend, all kinds of different things, but it's really rare that we find a specific brand making a specific supplement, a specific product that actually has this gold standard of literature research done on it. So that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Glad that you shared that. Yeah. And the leaps and bounds that we've come, technologically, with, like you said, with the trial and error of the manufacturing, this and that, all of the things that have been benefited since 2005, I can only imagine.
Right. Exactly. So, I'm proud of that study, and I like just the peace of mind. I'm skeptical by nature. So, when I hear things that sound like, too good to be true, it's kind of like, oh, where's the catch? Like what? And so I was really committed, and so was Aaron, to putting some scientific meat, on the bones for Sunlighten, to say, this is, yes, I feel different. And I've noticed, and we were getting all these letters and phone calls from people that would buy our product way back then that would say, oh my gosh, Connie, this is life-changing. I can now like walk again. I can do this. I can do that. It was just crazy, the outpouring of emails and communication we received from people, a lot of mercury sufferers that didn't know it was mercury, they didn't realize this toxic burden that they were carrying around. I think a lot of people deal with those types of things, and they just think this is the way it is. And that's one of my big messages is, if you're in pain, that's your body saying something, right? Like you don't have to accept those conditions, do something to change it. And if you feel great all the time, then do things that keep you feeling great all the
Exactly.
time. I mean, let's
Yes.
band together and live, our fullest and healthiest and best lives. Like we can do that. We have enough knowledge to do that now.
Yes. I love that you say that. I say that to patients all the time. And anybody that's, oh, well, I just am getting older and maybe I'm just not.
Right.
Yeah. Like, please do not accept that as normal. We can do better.
Yeah, I know. I say it to my mom all the time. She's like, "Oh, honey, you just don't understand that happens with age." I'm like, "No, mom, like we're gonna fix this because
Yeah.
you shouldn't have that pain." She's like, "Well, you get older." I'm like, "No,
No.
I don't accept that."
I completely agree. I completely agree. We need to do better. We can feel good. And we talk about the 100-year heart. So we have to,
Right.
you don't want 100-year heart with achy joints and a fogged up brain. That's not what the goal is. The goal is to have optimal health, holistic, a 100-year heart, but also a 100-year body that you can choose to move and feel good the entire time. The Healthy Heart Show will be right back after we take this quick break to hear from our sponsor. Would you like to drink great tasting coffee that's also good for your heart health? Cardiology Coffee is your answer. This 5-star rated coffee is delicious. It's a gourmet coffee that begins with whole organic beans, hand-selected and carefully roasted. It's tested and certified to be free of pesticides, mold, and other toxins. Cardiology Coffee is great for your heart, and you're going to love how it tastes. Order now online at cardiologycoffee.com. Now back to the Healthy Heart Show. So you had mentioned a couple of times throughout this 30-minute session. So what are some of the best sauna practices to really obtain the maximum benefits?
Yes. So my ideal, if you want to talk about ideal, and then go work backwards, the ideal is 40 minutes, actually.
Okay.
I mentioned 30 because that was the length of the study, because we didn't know, but we have learned since then, because we opened a day spa that you mentioned in the intro. We opened Sunlighten Day Spa in 2008 to bring, this technology to our local community. And as a result of having that, we had 4 units downstairs. We learned that we started off doing 30 minutes because that's what the trial was done. And then we learned from people, like, they were like, gosh, you cut it off too short. And so we just learned through trial and error that those extra 10 minutes, and my analogy is when you're cycling or you're running or you're doing something exercise wise, where you can almost feel your body get into a zone, right? You kind of get into the place where, oh, wow, like I could keep doing this. Like I've hit the tipping point. It's not hard anymore.
Right.
I feel the benefit. And you start to get that, somewhere, in the minute 20-ish. And of course, this is not science. It's different for everybody, but it's really important to keep going in that next 10 minutes, because you really start to sweat and you feel exponentially better if you can go 40 versus 30. So that's my recommendation is 40 minutes. And if you can do it, and a lot of people can't, so I get it, but let's talk ideal. If you can do it every day, do it every day. There is no downside to doing it every day, unless you are a hardcore, like you're exercising and you're doing a gazillion other things that are active cardiovascular, and all of a sudden you feel like lightheaded, or you feel like I'm just doing too much. Well, then of course, listen to your body and make an adjustment. But if you can do it every day, another best sauna practice is making sure you're properly hydrated, because again, it's, it's cardiovascular. You're exercising while you're sitting there. And so you need to make sure that you need to hydrate before, ideally before, during, and after. Yeah. And so there's other, I started doing, other ways is, since you're going to detox sitting in your sunlight, and if you have other things that you do in your life to detox, you can do those, as well in the sauna. Like some people have certain drinks some people have certain binders that they take.
Right.
So you probably have certain supplements that you recommend for detox. It's perfectly, fine to do those, before you sauna or during your sauna as well.
And then talk to me about temperature. So in that 40-minute session, where are we at with that?
Yeah. So temperature is like the external measurement, but what I really want people to focus on is not being, because that's the air temperature, and what the difference between infrared and convectional heat. And so if you think of infrared as the healing category and convectional being hot air, you really want to focus on infrared, which is the wavelength going into your body and getting your body hot. Another study we did was measuring the body's core temperature with our specific product. And we showed an increase in core temperature, which leads to all sorts of other benefits, which we can talk about another show. Yeah. But I mean, that's really, there's some great science there too. My point of that is, it's not about the air temperature. We can talk that and I'll answer your question, but sometimes people get in there and they get focused on that number, right? And that number is measuring the temperature in the air. It's not measuring how your body is feeling and how your body is absorbing it. That's what Sunlighten does, is we measure the absorption. We're measuring the quantity that you're getting, what you're receiving, the absorption, the increase in your core temperature, and the result. That's our job. Your job is just to enjoy. So as far as the temperature, it's going to range depending on which wavelengths you have. And we also have a product that has programs, and the programs have the different air temperatures. It'll range, let's call it between 110 and 140-ish. Okay. So somewhere in that, I mean, we have, somewhere in that range. What we really want to notice is how you're feeling, and, while you're in there. Right. And don't really get so fixated on the air temperature.
Yeah. So you don't need to go in and cook yourself at 190 degrees, because you have the benefit of the infrared getting really deeper into your body and raising your core temperature.
Right. And a lot of studies at higher temperatures noticed that people would get out, because people, especially on the cardiovascular side, like, you can't stay in a heated environment at that temperature level for extended periods of time. And the benefits come from being in there for extended periods of time. Like, so you really, you're not providing the optimal environment for yourself if you are going in to 190 degrees and staying in there 10 minutes or 15 minutes and you're done. Like, it's still good. And it's, any sweat is good. Right. All heat is good. Like, that's good. But if you really want optimal, you need to provide your body with an environment where you can absorb, the highest concentration of infrared, and then stay in there, ideally for at least 30 minutes, ideally 40.
Right. So something that's sustainable and not just like totally shocking.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, and that's, I think, going back to, if you're kind of afraid to go out and exercise, how are you going to feel confident going into something where you can only really sit in there comfortably for 5 minutes before you're running out, kind of gasping for air?
Right. And so you bring up a really important point, something that Sunlighten we talk about a lot is, your experience with inside of Sunlighten is to be enjoyed, not endured. And that's kind of our mission in life. Like, we want to provide a product, a company, an environment where you enjoy, coming to work, or you enjoy doing the work that you do. It's an enjoyable experience. And so a lot of times, if you're in that heated environment for too long, it's kind of like being outside in the hot sun for too long. At the end, you're just like, oh my God, I'm exhausted.
Right.
And that's not our goal. Is we want you to be, energized and rejuvenated, and, leave your experience feeling, okay, game on, let's go, conquer the world.
Yeah. I feel better than I did before I walked into this sauna.
Exactly. Feeling better. That's our brand promise. Yes. Awesome. I want you to feel better. Yes.
Oh, I love that. So what are maybe so we know kind of some of the long-term, like we talked about, what are maybe some of the short-term that you could experience just after, the first handful of sessions that you use? Yeah. So one of my favorite new scientific findings that has been studied is just your mental state of health. So, there's been science showing if you can increase your body's core temperature, you can relieve depression symptoms. So, I mean, I always, I've noticed that that's one of the first things I found, aside from the cardiovascular aspects when I started using, is, oh my gosh, you feel better, like legit, and you feel healthier, and you feel you're, happier, because you feel lighter,
you know, and it was an enjoyable experience. And so that's like an immediate thing.
Mhm.
Also, with the way our infrared is absorbed, it helps to reduce inflammation, it helps to reduce pain. So if you have, you know, muscle aches, et cetera, you may notice a difference in pain. You will notice I mean, an increase in caloric burn, you know, because you're it's exercise mimetic. So that comes with increased blood flow, increased oxygen. So you feel like, oh my gosh, you know, I worked out, which is a great energizing, you know, feeling as well. Your skin, it just looks great, you know, because you're doing something good for the skin
Mhm.
and you're purifying the body from the inside out. So your skin's going to glow, you
Yeah.
know. So that's a great benefit as well.
That's my personal favorite benefit of sauna, just in the short term. If you're feeling kind of, you know, maybe you've been traveling, maybe you kind of been out of your normal diet and everything, you kind of just feel like your skin is a little congested.
Mhm.
It's like you look more vibrant, you feel more vibrant, feel more alert. I completely agree, and I've noticed all of these things firsthand. And I often get the question of, "What can I do for my skin? Should I put this on it, or is it this?" It's like, go sit in the sauna is my
Mhm.
first suggestion.
Mhm. Yeah,
Really.
completely. Like I always, when I get out, it's like, I mean, I feel like I'm glowing.
Yeah.
And when I see people downstairs at our day spa, I can tell the people that just got out of the sauna because they're just like, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful. I mean, they just look so radiant.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yep. Detox it. Don't slather something else on it.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to hear about? I mean, we could go on for hours and hours. I just love this topic and love what you're doing for, you know, beyond just saunas. So at the addition of infrared, I just love everything that you're doing. So is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Um, yeah, you know, just two things, I guess. One is if anybody, I always like to say, because this can be a really confusing topic, especially, you know, when you have the internet and you like Google stuff and, you know, you can find anything out there. So, and we've been doing this over 20 years now. So if anybody has any questions, you are more than welcome to reach out to me, you know, directly at Sunlighten. So I want, you know, to help and educate. So that would be something I would want to make sure people know. If you're confused, you know, just contact me. And the other thing I think that's really interesting is we have a technology that I love to talk about that we use with our infrared, which is a sound technology. It's called acoustic resonance therapy. You're familiar with it? I can tell by your,
Yes, please elaborate.
yeah, it's so incredible. So it came from when we first were using the sauna, like I would literally sit and I would like bounce up and down. Like I'm like, you know, just kind of counting down the minutes, thinking about all the different things I could do. And we found this technology where you put these transducers, these sound, you know, systems underneath the bench, and then you listen to acoustic music, which is why it's called acoustic resonance. So acoustic sound resonance is like the vibration of the waves. You listen to it while you're in there, and the music that we work with is patternless, so your brain can't track
Mhm.
what you're listening to. So it literally like I've listened to the same music for 10 years. I mean, but it doesn't matter because you can't remember, like you don't
Right.
know, oh, this song is coming up next or,
I'm so
and,
sick of hearing the song or
right. So what it does when you turn that on when combination with the infrared wavelengths is it just instantly like takes my shoulders from being like this, you know, just like instantly drops them. And you just feel it's kind of just like this gentle hum that your body responds to. So now it's the senses, right? So now it's like you're feeling the heat, you know, you're feeling, you know, this vibration, you know, you're hearing this patternless music. You're just taking in like, you know, any type of fragrance. It completely opens the body up to what I think is receiving more of the healing energy because you're just impacting your body in different ways. And so I highly recommend that technology in combination, if you can, in combination with the sunlight and infrared technology, the acoustic resonance therapy. So that would just be something else. It's, you know, I love sound therapy.
Oh, me too. Yeah. And then, I mean, really, because it's like so multifactorial. So back to this study that was done in 2005, it's like, the metric was high blood pressure, right? Or monitoring blood pressure. So imagine now having these added layers of the therapy and if we could study all of the metrics, about cognition and potentially even like blood sugar and blood pressure and heart rate variability, I think that probably the benefits are just endless.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm, really appreciative that, you are an advocate and you're using it and you're speaking about it and all the work that you guys are doing, for heart health. It's so important and it's so wonderful to have, I feel like when we started, there was it was crickets, and it's so wonderful.
No, it's really good.
I know, to have all these just wonderful educators like yourself who are out there, trying to help people live their best life as well. And so thank you for everything that you're doing.
Oh, and it's, it's my pleasure because we get to give these patients hope, patients like your brother that probably were just kind of just laying there and it's like, is this just my life? And, so we get to provide that layer of hope, and it's like, no, we'll get you there. We will get you to where you need to be and where you should be. So I think it's awesome that we have this. And then, the research continues to pour out. And like I said, it's so multifactorial. So if you look at acoustic healing and then infrared healing and hyperthermia, so getting your body warm, I mean, the research is there. It is science backed. It may be, 20 years ago sounded a little woo woo, but we know better now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much, Connie. This has been my pleasure. And I just really hope that everybody, you can go to naturalheartdoctor.com/Sunlighten Sauna. It'll take you directly to their site. Look at all of their different products. They've got different sizes for, small space, for larger, for multiple people to enjoy at once. So please check them out. Reach out to us with any questions, and also reach out to Connie. Like she said, she's an excellent source of knowledge. So we're so fortunate to have you on today's episode of the Healthy Heart Show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for listening to today's episode. And I hope that you share this with somebody that you know and love. And we really appreciate all of your feedback on the show. Thanks for being here. That does it for today's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the Healthy Heart Show. Please help us get the word out by liking and subscribing to our podcast and our Facebook page, Natural Heart Doctor. Please show support for our podcast sponsor, Cardiology Coffee, your resource for organic, antioxidant-rich, mold and pesticide-free coffee shipped straight to your door. Learn more by adding @cardiologycoffee on Instagram and visiting cardiologycoffee.com. This podcast provides materials for information and educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. We encourage you to contact your physician for any of the health issues discussed here.